like, ooh, let's do this. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, I got a tremendous amount of respect. Gary, we say network marketing is nothing more than a comp plan, a personal development plan with a compensation plan attached to it. Gary lives that way. I mean, literally, that's who he is. And he's thrown himself for years into personal development, into bettering himself. And I was thinking about it as we put together this event. I wanted Gary to talk about personal development, the journey he's been on, what it's meant to him, why he even started down that path in the first place, and why he's here at 3. I want you guys to put your hands together for an incredible leader who's doing an amazing job from Sedona, Arizona. And you're not supposed to judge people on their heart. This guy's a warrior with one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen. So, love you, Gary. It's all you.
Thank you, Daniel. How's everybody doing? Guys, I am so excited to be here with you. I can't tell you how much I took away from this training last year. I mean, the play-by-play example that you get on how to build this business and to learn from the leaders is phenomenal. So I would just highly encourage you to take as many notes and just keep going and run it through. What I want to share with you is that so one of the topic that Daniel asked me to talk on is how I challenge myself. And so, for me, it really is, it's a way of life, and it's something I've been doing for a really long time. In order to give you a little bit of context for that, I gotta take this story back just a little bit. So, I am 47 years old. I am the oldest of 2 boys. My mom gave birth to me when she was 19 years old, and my dad was 22. They were just babies themselves. And so I don't want to get caught in the weight of some of my childhood trauma, but I will just tell you I had a very adventurous childhood. I went to 18 different schools between the grades kindergarten and high school. So what I did not pick up in early in life was academics, but I'll tell you what I did do is I learned how to connect with people. Because often, again and again, whether it's on the school playground or at the jungle gym or wherever, in all of these really formative ages or years, I had to make new friends in every city that I went to. And so I learned not how to talk to people, I learned how to talk with people. And that's a really important distinction when we think about words, right? Because if you learn to talk with somebody, you can create those connections. 18 different schools, I gotta tell you, that is a lot of show and tells. Hi, my name is Gary. I like tractors. Hi, my name is Gary. I'm going to be a cowboy and these are my boots. That story will come up relevant in just a minute here. But again, over the years, I've learned to talk to a lot of different people. And I can tell you is that as you're building this business and you're talking to people, use every opportunity that you can. One of my favorite things that I like to talk with about our new team members is, if we're in a restaurant and you're with a server, right? The server is a derivative for serving, right? So have a moment, take a moment to connect with the server. One of the things that I had learned from Gary and Frida last year when we were on the trip in Asia, and it was something that Samson had kind of broken down the year before, was the tactic of FORM, F-O-R-M. Who knows what this means? Oh, okay, well this is good. So listen, when you're trying to create a connection with somebody, one of the things that you want to do in the conversation is get to know them. What's going on in their family? F. What is O? It's occupation, right? R is recreation. What do they like to do for fun? And then the fourth is going to be motivators. What motivates them as human beings, right? If you get going in these conversations and you establish this, you're going to build a great connection. I want to give a couple practical tips as well too. So I'm a big believer in words. Maya Angelou is one of my heroes. I think she's one of the greatest contributors on the planet of all time. And she has a quote that I really love. And it's, words are things, I'm convinced. You must be careful about the words you allow that you use and the word that you allow to be used within your home. I think they are things. They get on the walls, they get on the carpets, they get on the curtains, and eventually they get into you. So you got to be careful about the words that you use. Words, affirmations, these are some of the things that I use consistently to help challenge myself. Okay? Now, another term that I use interchangeably for affirmations is going to be mirror work. So, it's looked like this a couple times. I'll share with you like my one of the affirmations I used early on, especially this unbelievable project that is 3. In the beginning, let's say about 2021 is when I started coming to the real realization that it was time for me to make serious changes in my own health and wellness. And I got to the point where I was about 100 pounds overweight. I was diagnosed as type 2 diabetic. I had leaky gut, I was hypertensive, so I had a whole litany of health issues that were challenging me. But I knew that I was coming to a point where it was time to contend and face these things. And so when I began my journey of coaching and working with the Tony Robbins organization, some of the early affirmations that I would use are, I would get in front of the mirror and I would look at my own eyes. I would connect with myself. And I would say things like this over and over again, which is, I am wellness. I am the embodiment of wellness. I am vitality. I am health. I am fit. I'm all those things. And there's something magical that happens when you do this, right? Like you say this to yourself enough and you do it over and over again, and you start to believe it, right? Now, I can tell you that was 2021. I've now lost 65 pounds. I've added 35 pounds of new muscle mass. And so that's, for me, approaching almost 50, I'm really proud of it. That's really cool. I'm no longer type 2 diabetic. I'm no longer hypertensive. This is the first time I've been able to get off of hypertension medication in almost 20 years, guys. So listen, the power of words do matter. Over time, I've used different affirmations. And so and for those of you who don't know, I also do some writing. I love to write. I am a writer. I like to use my words to empower, to encourage, to uplift people, right? And so doing this practice in the mirror over and over again, I promise you it's going to do something special to you. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. I want to share with you guys a story about this journey that I've been on. So in 2021, which I had mentioned, I had enrolled with Tony Robbins, and I decided to do his Platinum Partnership. So this is a 12-month mentorship, and you basically work closely with Tony for an entire year and his team. And you get to travel all over the world, but it is a constant, never-ending year of personal growth. And so I had a lot of amazing experiences. And one of the first experiences I had was in February of 2022, and I was in West Palm Beach, Florida. And when I got there, Tony had let us know that the world was changing so fast, and business was as well. And so he really wanted us to acclimate and sort of getting ready for the speed of things to change. So I was very excited to hear that we were going to have an opportunity to drive a couple of cars around the track. And so I got strapped into the front seat, the driver's seat of a Lamborghini. And for the first time in my life, I got to pop that baby about 200 miles an hour around a track for about an hour. And so really, his ideology in that is to get you adjusted, get it in your physiology, so you know what speed is like. Now, the second component on that trip is that he wanted you to learn to master your fear. And so I was a little curious about this. I'm looking at Caroline Kuykendall, who's actually a friend of mine who's also in the same Robbins group. And so in order to master your fear, they decided to take us out on a boat. And so it's just off the coast of Jupiter, and they let us know that we were going to be going cage-free shark diving in the open ocean so that way we can learn to manage our fear.
Oh no.
And so let me tell you, there's no experience like it having a shark swim between your legs. I mean, I swear, I was like the last guy to get off the boat, true story, and I stuck my goggles in the water, and I swear to God, it was right there. And then once you get in the water, they're everywhere. So, I mean, it was wild. But anyway. Of that year, though, the most incredible thing happened to me because it was an event that I didn't expect that would give me the most growth. And so there was a 4-day virtual event that I got to do from my home in Sedona. And this event is one of Tony's signature events. It's called UPW. It's an acronym for Unleash the Power Within. It's really meant to kind of help you break through whatever is holding you back. And I see Nicole saying, yep, that's the one. And I got the pre-box, and so in the box is like a workbook, and so there's a workbook there, there's a couple other doodads, and there's some flyers that were in there, but there's also this piece of wood. And so on day one, what they basically do is they condition you to go through an entire workday And for 10 hours, like if you know Tony, like his days are long days. And so for 10 hours, I really kind of dug deep and tried to figure out, like, what is it that's holding me back? What are the things that are still weighing me down? What can I not break through? And after 10 hours of gut-wrenching work, I came up with the reality, I distilled down that my own self-doubt was holding me back. And so I wrote self-doubt on this piece of wood, and then on the flip side of the wood, you're meant to write affirmations, right? And so if you're able to break through the item that's holding you back, on the other side, you get to ascend. So I did everything as planned. I set up 2 living room chairs, just like the ones you guys are sitting in. Actually, they were wood. And this is in front of my, oversized television, which is ridiculous. It's like 80 inches. And so I literally watched on that television as people from all over the world were breaking their barriers, right? And there's a lady I will never forget. There was a lady who was in her mid-80s, and she was wearing oxygen, and I saw her break this door. And so it was my turn, and so I stepped up, and I took a deep breath, and I centered myself, and I brought my right arm all the way up, and I brought that arm down on that piece of wood. I swear to God, like it was thunder. I brought it all the way down. It was hard, right? And so my hand bounced back up on my chest, and I could feel the sensation reverberate through my entire body, like the power of it, right? And as I was holding my hand to my chest, I began to have it was instant, but pain shot all the way through my fingertips and up my arm. I looked down, and my hand and my arm began to turn black and blue. In that moment, I knew that I was in trouble. And so I picked up the piece of wood, and I walked out of my den, and I walked all the way down my hallway, and into my living room. And so my living room is a sunken living room. I got 2 steps that lead you down into it. And so I went into the living room, and I took the piece of wood, and I put it in between the steps so I could break it with my foot. And I did that, and then I reached down, and I picked up the wood, and it was in my left hand. And in that moment, all of my saboteur showed up. You're not good enough. You can't do it. You didn't do it the right way. By the next morning, an ER doctor kind of confirmed what I had already known, is that not only did I break my wrist, I broke it in multiple places with multiple fractures, and I was going to require surgery to bring all the bones back together, and I was going to have metal inserted in 3 different parts of my arm. I thought about that for a minute, and it was really hard for me to hear, because while my prognosis was great, I'm a writer. And if you guys also don't know part of my stories, I'm a classically trained chef in French cuisine. And if I don't have the ability to use my right hand, I can't operate a knife. And so it confronted me with some of my greatest fears. A few days later, I had my call with my coach, my Robbins coach. And she said to me, she says, so my friend, you had this experience, but what did you learn? And I honestly, you guys, I don't remember what I said. It was some sort of something, I don't know. I remember feeling like I was looking for validation or something about that event. And she said to me something that would change my entire life. She said, no, you learned that there's more than one way to break the board. It took me a couple days for that to set in. And when I finally got it was like rain on my face for the first time. I took it in, and after a couple days, I began to reconcile what life was going to be like and the potentiality that I don't get from the usage of my hand back. And I started thinking about it. I started to play the whole scenario back in my mind again. Every moment, play by play, what had happened? Where did I go wrong? How did I make such a big misstep when everybody else did it in a different way? And then something truly surprising hit me, and it was a whole other breakthrough. What I realized is that when I brought my right hand down with such force on that board, I was operating completely from my left brain. So the side of our brains that houses calculations, mathematics, business, strategy, dominance. It's the side of our brain that is more of our masculine side. And now I was going to face a chapter that was going to allow me to access a part of me that I hadn't put as much energy into. I was going to have to move into my right brain, and so I could use my left hand. And this is a beautiful thing because your right brain is the side of your brain that houses your creativity and your compassion, your nonverbal language. It's also the side of your brain that holds your space for love and contribution. So I began to start small. And so each day I would do something to try to honor the left side of my body, to try and really kick in the right brain. And so I started simple. And what I did is I would put my left shoe on, my sock on my left foot first. I put my left shoe on next. And then eventually I learned how to tie with my left hand, how to tie my left shoe and conversely. And it evolved. I immediately started brushing my teeth with my left hand, and this is going to be a pro tip for all of you. If you want to access a part of you that you've never had before, start brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand.
Yep.
It evolved further, and I got a tracing book, and I began to learn how to write with my left hand and tracing. It was almost like a coloring book for kids. And next, I got a coloring book. And I would take the coloring book and I would color in all the pictures. And all of a sudden I was a kid again. It was like I was 4 years old. My friends, I could draw a direct line in crayon from that coloring book that led me to 5 letters of the alphabet. T-H-R-E-E. There's something I want to share with you. I've heard that it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. And so I have a question for all of you. What's your board? What's your wrist break moment? And more importantly, are you willing to do what it takes for your breakthrough? Because there's always another way to break the board.
Give Gary a big hand. Three pieces.
Yep.
I loved your ending when you said led me to T-H-R-E-E. How cool was that? Love you. You did an amazing job, Gary.